Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
The project is called as Jellow Communicator. So, just describing the case study content, we start with an introduction to Jellow, the iterative design process that we followed in its journey, its unique features, the interface and the walkthrough, outreach, how do we do outreach, and what is the road ahead. We followed the design thinking and innovation process for Jellow. Started with research, that means we did observation and studies, followed by analysis, where we try to understand what the issues are. We try to visualize these issues. We came to ideation, we explored new concepts, and this was across a period of time. So change in technology also made a difference. We built prototypes and starting with mock-ups, tested it out with the users and iteratively redesigned the ideas that we had, and then finally implemented into a social enterprise. Okay, so you can see that it was first diverging, then converging in analysis, again diverging. Then you can see that there are actually 4 different solutions which have been iteratively solved with feedback from the users, and then what is out there implemented and available to the users. Let's start with the mind map. This is part of the secondary research. The overview was the communication needs of persons with disabilities. The first branches you can see are the variables, abilities, solutions, and applications of it. If you look at variables, multilinguality is an issue in our country. Accessibility, there are different levels of being able to access technologies. Affordability is an issue here. Some can afford, some cannot afford. Okay, and then looked at human abilities, vision, issues with vision, memory, attention spans, your ability in terms of your sensories, that means your motor abilities, speech and hearing. And if you look at it, speech and hearing is something that we've taken forward in terms of a solution. And the solution seems to be that is driven by images and icons, which kind of creates the speech. Okay, and the applications are both low-tech, high-tech, and also open access. That means the codes are available for others to use and develop. Let's look at the users ecosystem. This is again part of the secondary research. The primary users are in the center, the children with speech and hearing needs. There are 30 million children in India and about 140 million children worldwide. Parents is the next user group because they have to look after these children. They are also similar in number as children. Health professionals come into play here, the speech therapist and healthcare workers, approximately 10 million of them around the world. Institutions play a very important role in terms of research and learning. So there are many of these across the world, and there are national schemes across many countries to look at this particular ecosystem. Let's look at the Jellow universe. Worldwide, we mentioned 140 million children have communication difficulties, and in India it's over 30 million children have some problem or the other, much of them due to issues like cerebral palsy, intellectual disability, autism. Let's look at the problem space and the solution. there's a need for an AAC communication system. AAC stands for Augmentative Alternate Communication. We needed it to be child-friendly, designed specific to children in the age group of 3 to 9. It should be simple, easy, and intuitive to use. It should also be culturally contextual. That means that the children might want their own food, their festivals and places. Being in India, you need access to multiple languages. This was the felt need as part of the analysis. A solution that has both low-tech as well as high-tech solutions together. It means that it is inclusive. It's accessible across all platforms. That means you can, access it on Apple as well as Android or on a desktop. It's a complete communication system. So that means that it has many variations. Okay, more on that later. We also made sure it's free to use and the sources are open so that others can develop it further. After this, we come to the project brief. So it's Jellow Communicator. It's an aid for children with speech impairments. It uses icons or images to aid communication in children learning to speak or with difficulty with speech and language. It helps non-verbal children to communicate and gradually learn to speak. It means that there are some children for whom the typical language is very difficult to master. So they need additional, support in terms of trying to learn the language. Okay, and Jellow is a solution meant for this particular space. Okay, especially those with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome and such. Okay, and we said it's also going to be applicable for children between the ages of 3 to 9 years. Let's look at the journey so far. This part of the ideation, which happened across many years from 2004 till now, as you can see that we started with a physical device. We tested it out. It was very useful, but the cost became prohibitive in the sense that it became too expensive to make it. So in fact, we waited till 2008 to put it onto the desktop. And when we did the desktop version, we found it to be very useful to the children. Okay, and then in 2016, it was ported onto a tablet, okay, and tested it out. And then that's when the Jellow Basic came into being. And in 2021, we had an adult version of it, which was called as Jellow Plus. Okay, so if you look at it, we started with a physical version, then iteratively did a desktop version, then onto a Jellow Basic version, and then to a Jellow Plus version. Okay, and you can see that the first one was physical, the second one was available on desktop, it was browser based. The third one had many variations of it. You could get it as a book. You can also get it on the desktop. You can get it on a tablet or a mobile. So the flexibility was built into this particular version. And then you had the Jellow Plus version, which is available, on a tablet or a mobile. So this is the journey so far. And let's look at some of the design considerations that we took, while ideating on the project. Okay, so one of the main things or important aspects of this project is the use of images or icons. These will drive the language forming part of it. Okay, so we took a lot of effort and time to actually conceive of what is that particular image, which is very simple, easy to recognize, and also cheerful because it's meant for the children. Okay, so these were tested, iteratively designed over a period of time with feedback from children. Okay, so we wanted to make sure that it is child friendly to look at and they would actually like these images. Okay, so once we had the images, the next challenge was how do we actually do the language part of it. Okay, so basically the icons need to trigger speech, and hence text to speech needed to be the language that is easy to understand for the children. Okay, so we found that the machine ones are not really child friendly. So it needed people's translation, and making use of text to speech saves some space. Okay, so for example, if one presses the less button and then the learn button, the message would be that I don't want to learn anymore. Or if he presses the plus button and then the learn button, it says, I want to learn some more. Okay, so this was a very interesting and creative way of actually trying to form a language. And the child who has communication issues would use these images to construct these pre-made sentences. Let's look at the icons and its design considerations. It's part of the directory. From the image, you can see the major categories of the icons. Okay, and they have subcategories. They also have subcategories. Overall, there are over 1,200 icons, and pressing these icons in combination with other buttons can create over 12,000 pre-made sentences. This is how the speech is done. Okay, and the child actually uses this to construct these pre-made sentences. Okay, so this is part of the prototyping. Let's look at the design process, the iterative design process that we followed with the users to get their feedback and then improve the design. Okay, you can see that we talk to children, parents, teacher, and therapist, and the active users who are actually using the system. Okay, so if you look at children, icons is the primary element that we tested with them. We did usability studies and got their feedback. That means that we demonstrated the system to them, we conversed with them, we asked them to identify icons, and also we did task completion. We asked them to complete a task and saw where they're getting stuck or not getting stuck. And the inputs from this feedback, we put it back into redesign of the interface. Okay. Then we had many workshops, over 100 workshops with parents, teachers, and therapists. Okay, where we demoed the Jellow and got the feedback on this. We also conducted focus group discussions. That means these are all experts. We made them talk to each other and give us feedback on Jellow. And this was a very, very valuable input because many suggestions from this workshop actually went on to improving the functionality of the Jellow. Of course, we have the active users, so you can track them, do the data analytics. So you can see that where they are getting stuck, where they're not getting stuck, which are the icons which are frequently being used. Okay, so that also gave us an input, but most interesting was that we were able to do a 6 months long longitudinal study. This we did it at two places. One was at Nair Hospital in Mumbai and at the University of Connecticut in the USA. The children were autistic. So over a period of 6 months, the children were given Jellow and seen how actually Jellow would make a difference to their communication issues. Okay, so the children used this for 6 months. Every week we kind of monitored what were the learnings and how much of communication issues they were trying to solve using Jellow. Okay, and the findings were very positive. It's published as a paper. And this gave us the confidence that Jellow is very useful and needs to be, promoted. Okay, and of course, it was a study with children. That means that we need to get ethics clearance for this long study because we were interacting with children. So, because two institutions were involved, IIT Bombay and the Nair Hospital, so ethics clearance were sought from both the places. It took a bit of time, but we got the ethics clearance. So the project and the study was done with getting the ethics clearance. And you'll also see that we don't use pictures and images of children. That's something that we give respect to their privacy. So you'll never find an image of a child anywhere, web space or in the application. Okay, so this is what got implemented finally as a system. Okay, and it was also working towards a social enterprise. That's how it exists right now. Okay, so you can see that you can get Jellow as a book. That means that you can download them as cards. Cards are very useful because you can stick it around in your house so that the child can look at it and learn an activity or remember something. Okay, very useful in bathrooms, in kitchens. You can also download it as a PDF book so that you can sit with the child. At any point of time, you can show the child and help her to communicate. It's also available on the desktop. Okay, it's also available on the mobile or tablet. Okay, and if the child has motor issues, you can connect it to an external input device. Through these switches, you can actually operate Jellow. And the interesting part is that it's not fixed, but you can actually change all the icons and you can customize Jellow to the needs and create your own board, okay, of activities, schedule, things like that. So Jellow can be customized. So these were all the different parts of the Jellow. And the enterprise is a social enterprise. Okay, so let's explain the details of Jellow. So this shows the Jellow interface. The category buttons are in the center. Here you can see learn, play, and eat. For example, let's say I press learn, it says learn. And if you press the happy button, it says I like to learn. If you press the tick yes button, it says I want to learn. And if you press the plus button, it says I want to learn some more. The negatives are on the other side. I don't like to learn. I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn anymore. Okay, so this we called it as the Emotional Language Protocol, ELP, a very simple method of generating pre-made sentences, very easy to remember. And as we said before, it actually creates, about 12,000 pre-made sentences out of, 1,200 icons. This is how it looks on a tablet. And this is how it looks on a mobile. It's in Hindi here. Okay, let's look at its unique features. It's meant for children. It is designed from child's point of view. Okay, the interface is made extremely easy to use. Children can learn it without spending any time of it. It's very intuitive to learn. The icons are designed to be very friendly with the needs of the children. The icons are also culture specific. That means that you will be able to get your own food depending on the region that you come from or the, and then you can put your own places and festivals. It also is based on this emotional language protocol, which creates these variations. And it's available right now in 13 languages. You can also customize this to suit your needs and add your own icons and, speech into it. And it's made accessible for children with motor difficulties. Okay, so let's look at some user narratives. Okay, so this here, for example, Kavita had a lot of problems getting used to how to use the toilet. Mother downloaded the Jellow card, stuck it around the toilet, and within a couple of weeks, she learned how to use the toilet. Okay, so this is the activity part of Jellow. Here, Jonathan, for example, has found Jellow very useful. He's a quadriplegic, so he uses a head-mounted pointing device to, operate Jellow. Ismail here is a speech therapist, okay, and he finds a library of icons within Jellow very, very useful. So he uses them to construct sentences for stories for his children. Ankit, for example, had an issue of confidence, and he could never stay in the same school for more than 3 to 4 months. His parents had to find a new school because he refused to go to the school. Okay, and it was only after he was given Jellow that his confidence levels went up because he was able to communicate and express his needs. Now he has actually stayed in the same school. Okay, and this is a very interesting story. Shantanu had to be left, autistic child had to be left with the grandparents because the parents had to suddenly go. It was the first time they were leaving it. The grandparents were apprehensive. How will they communicate with Shantanu? But Jellow came to the rescue. Because using Jellow, he was able to communicate his needs, and it was not a problem anymore. Okay, so these were a few user stories. Let's take a walkthrough of Jellow. Okay, Jellow has these 9 categories in the center. Okay, so you can go into details of these. For example, if you go into learning, it will go into further categories of learning and so on and so forth. If it's eating, it will go into breakfast, lunch, dinner, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is a greetings category. It has many icons for how to greet someone. This is the activities category. Here we just saw that you have the activity of how to use the toilet or how to brush your teeth. Okay, and you can see that it step by step, it demonstrates how to use. For example, this is for the toilet, step 1, step 2, step 3, next, and the next steps. Okay, so it's a very simple way. There's also a help category, because if the child is in trouble and he has Jellow, he can hit the emergency button and it can make a phone call. Okay, or it speaks and says, I need this, I don't need this. Yeah, so this is meant for emergencies. As we mentioned, you can also make your own board. That means that you can add your own icon to it using the plus button. Okay, and you can add the image, the text to it, which will be spoken in many of the languages, 13 languages right now. Yeah, and you can also pick up from the existing icon library within Jellow itself or add your own image to it. Yeah, and here, for example, it's a board which has been created for eggs and bread. And how to buy it, it's created by a teacher to tell them how to shop for something. Okay, and of course, depending on the attention spans of the children, you can change the number of icons per screen. It can just be 1 icon or 2 icons. Okay, so it's depending on the comfort level and the attention. Here, for example, is 2 icons on the screen. Okay, you can select the language. There are 13 languages right now. We are including another 15 soon. Okay, so this is the home screen in Hindi language. Okay, and Jellow also has a host of products. Okay, so we have Jellow Care for people who lose their voice suddenly, so they're hospitalized and you need something to help them communicate. So Jellow Care is useful for them. Jellow Talk helps you practice your speech, because slowly the children will start speaking and one has to keep correcting it. So here, for example, this would actually say what the child is speaking and say how it should be actually said. As the child grows up, becomes an adult, where they're able to create their own sentences, then you need Jellow Plus for that. We're very happy to mention that Jellow embraces the following 3 UN Sustainability Development Goals. Number 3 on promoting good health and well-being. Jellow also helps you in quality education. You can learn using Jellow. Jellow also can be used in the classrooms for inclusive education, where the special needs child is along with normal child. Ultimately, it also embraces goal number 10 on reduced inequalities. Okay, so that means that this child will also have equal opportunities as the rest of them. You might be wondering where this name came up. When you're doing a project, it's always nice to name the project and give it a name. Sometimes naming can be, very personal. It could be a collective effort. This was something which the students who were working on this project conceived of this. They thought of it in the beginning to be like a combination of jellyfish and a jolly good fellow. So jelly plus fellow became Jellow. That's how the name came into being. Okay, and once we did that, we wanted to have the sun, the moon, the flower, showing progress and dynamism. That's how the logo came in, and we used Indian colors to make it prominent. Yeah, so let's look at the outreach program. We conduct workshops. In fact, we conduct a workshop every 2 weeks on Saturday afternoons. Because if you look at context of our country, we need to actually do the last mile. And to reach it to the last mile, we need to be able to talk to the health workers in those spaces and make them aware of Jellow. Because if they can identify the need of a child who has communication issues, then Jellow can come and play an important role in that. Because of that, we attend exhibitions and conferences. We also collaborate with NGOs and hospitals and other institutions. We do marketing. Of course, the word of mouth publicity is the best for us. We also have tried to create social networks in this regard. Okay, and we have, things that can be downloaded and put up on the notice boards. Yeah, and also we have the web space here. You can find all information connected with the Jellow products here. Okay, and also we have videos on the subject demonstrating the different aspects of Jellow, how to use Jellow, how to set up Jellow, how to make my own board, things like that. And of course, we have our own wish list. We would like to incorporate scheduling into Jellow. We also want to make sure that all the major languages in India are covered. Right now it's 13, and we'll go next to Asia and then the rest of the countries. So it's being done slowly, one by one. Of course, AI seems to be an excellent enabler to make it smart. So that's something that we are working on. And also to include Jellow, the basic foundational learning aspects of it, so it can be used in the classroom. So this is our wish list, and we are all working towards it. We are very honored to win these awards. The UNICEF Innovation Award, which helped us prototype Jellow and bring it to the market. Very, very honored to win the national award from our president. M-Billionth Award, the Nippon Microsoft Award, and the Microsoft Design Expo Award. And the last one here, Digital Public Goods nomination, is a big recognition for us. Because of this, our sources are in open on GitHub. Our icons are on open icons, again accessible to all. And we are very proud to be part of this open design, open source initiative. This is the team behind Jellow. So in conclusion, let me end with a quote. You can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you can never count the number of apples in seeds. It's a very interesting quote. Think about it. It's by Stewart Brand from MIT Media Lab. He's also the author of Inventing the Future. Very interesting and important book. Please read this book. So thank you for listening. So we looked at Jellow, a project which was initiated by students and then taken on to the market into a social enterprise. And we saw the journey through the use of the different phases of the design process, design thinking and innovation process. Okay, so hope that this case study will be useful as a reference for you.